Kenyan national anthem.
And welcome everyone here to Civic Field for today's Super Sixes World Lacrosse Championships. We've got Team USA versus Team Kenya to start us off with. Hello everyone, I'm Spencer Byers alongside Lance Wynn. And Lance, big game here between the Americans and Kenya. Kenya probably seen as the lower ranked team, more of the underdog, but I think you'd rather be the underdog than the team everyone kind of expecting to win. Put a little more pressure on your team. Would you agree?
I would agree for sure, Spencer. First off, thanks very much for having me. I appreciate that. Exciting event when you talk about these World Sixes, a new format, something that may be introduced, looking to be introduced into the Olympics going forward, but really exciting, taking some of the best of field, best of box, and kind of meshing them together. And I think anytime you look at a matchup between the United States and Kenya, you're probably going to give the U.S. a little bit of the edge regardless, but Kenya here, a chance certainly to make their mark and let their presence be felt here in this event.
Now we start off with a face-off, but it's the only face-off we're going to get because they only do face-offs at the beginning of the quarters, and that one is flung all the way back, but an infraction called immediately, and possession will go to Kenya. It's 8-minute quarters, but they are running time, so it's not really 8-minute quarters. We will have a break in between every single quarter, including a halftime between the second and the third, as it looks like it's the Americans' possession. This one moves fast, so strap yourselves in as the Americans now have possession first.
Going to be very interesting to see, Spencer, how Kenya has evolved a bit. This, of course, lacrosse, one of the newer sports introduced into the country of Africa. And, of course, they've embraced it now, and it's great to see them out on the world stage.
Well, African nations have adopted many sports recently, basketball included. So if they can also adopt lacrosse, then another dangerous set of nations are going to be taking on Canada, Haudenosaunee, and the Americans, who I'd say normally dominate the lacrosse sport, box or field.
Always good to see some parity, regardless of the sport, certainly at the international level.
And Kenya now with possession, going around the top. There is a 30-second shot clock in effect, so not only is it running time, but that shot clock runs down quick. Only 3 seconds left on it. They're going to have to shoot, and they're not going to be able to, so possession will go to the Americans.
I think that's going to be one of the challenges for Kenya, trying to get into the interior of the U.S., a very experienced team, of course. They play high level of field lacrosse, so going to be tough to get in close, to get off good, high-quality shots here if you're Kenya.
And already another infraction against the Americans. They've really struggled to get on offense here in the first about minute and a half into this one. Kenya back with possession. Kaptingi passes it off there to Ann Zala. And they are not able to get the shot on target, but it is saved.
And, of course, the further you out, the easier the save for the goaltenders. And, of course, these goalies are quite good, very agile. Don't use as much equipment as in a lot of other sports, but, boy, you talk about agile they are.
And that's a quick goal there for the Americans on their first real offensive possession. So now Kenya's going to have to start it from their own end, which, again, is another difference between the Super 6 variety versus normal field lacrosse. There is no face-off. It is just straight play from behind the net. As Kenya again lose it, the goal scorer there looked to be double four is Allison Mastroianni. As possession will go back to Kenya. They're giving Kenya a lot of chances here on the offensive end, which is definitely a positive there, Lance, to see Kenya go on a little bit of offense there. That shot caught by the goalie there, Samantha Swart. That ball fired up, and that's another advantage there of no real face-offs, is how quickly the ball can move up the field. There's no real lull of security there. That shot saved by Kenya.
Good job. That's one of the benefits to having a good netminder, someone who can throw the ball well. That gives your team the advantage on a change of possession. But, boy, it could be a lot of work. Kenya's certainly dominated so far with time of possession, but as far as quality scoring chances, I think the U.S. has got a bit of an edge at this moment.
They now have possession. We're almost halfway through this quarter. That's how quick these things can go. As the Americans in again. That shot low, and it's in. Courtney Taylor with that one. And it's 2-0 quick there for the Navy shirts.
U.S. doing a good job mixing it up. Went up top for their first goal, down low for their second.
And Kenya just trying to pass it across the top there. Another thing to mention here is now the Americans have a chance for a break, just not able to scoop it up, so they'll have to kind of wait there for some reinforcements. And they actually lose it just as they cross the halfway line, and here come Kenya on a little bit of a rush. Kenya with a chance, ball bouncing around, and they aren't able to corral it. And again, both teams only have 12 players, including the 5 on the field plus the goalie. So a lot of fatigue will also play a factor throughout these games you'd expect with having such little benches.
Sure, short benches and the tempo's it's very high. You're going end to end to end. So certainly going to be a challenge as far as the keeping your fourth quarter as good as your first.
That pass trying to go back door, but it goes fired up, and you see all the balls around the playing surface, so it is kind of an outline. As you see, it's basically like, I'll say 3/4 of the football field or so. So it's a rather compact playing surface, which also plays into the fact that it's so dynamic because you don't have a whole lot of space to operate.
Well, that's one of the things when you talk about the sport of lacrosse and you talk about field, you talk about box. Of course, field on a larger area, box in a more confined space. This finds a very good medium between the two. So great to see, and good job on World Lacrosse and taking this on, and another outstanding goal from the U.S.
Allison Mastroianni gets another goal.
I like that she came with an underhand to go up top.
Another shot there from Kenya. That one forces a save. That's Chiro Tichi. That's now the Americans coming quick again. That one caught by the goalie. Almost lost it, though, in the restricted area, but was able to keep it in. 2.5 minutes left here in this first quarter. Again, 2 minutes in between the first and second and third and fourth quarters, and a 5-minute halftime in between the second and the third. That shot on target, but saved. So even the breaks are rather quick here in this discipline. So as much as you get to catch your breath, not for very long.
I'm not sure where break you're talking about, Spencer. I keep waiting for one.
And that shot saved there, and it will go sneak out. So I think possession will stay with the Americans, and it will.
Good job defensively by Kenya. Some good chances by the U.S., but their goaltending has been good up to this point.
Another thing about field that this discipline, I assume, also has, comparatively speaking, to box, is the goalie usually is able to play the ball, but I feel like in such a compact area, you don't really want the goalie to go out and get the ball.
Well, you don't, but you certainly have to have your goalie based on the fact that transition is a big part of this game. So your goalie has to be agile to be able to control the crease area, but good enough to make good, smart outlet passes that will move your team up on offense quicker. So if you have a goalie who doesn't throw the ball very well, that's going to hinder you because it's going to slow your possession and it can make it a little more difficult for you to get it up into the offensive end. And as we get set to go, the United States continues to roll around looking for openings. Good move on the duck in. Kick back out, and that quick shot, an easy one. Courtney Taylor finishes that off, and the U.S. controlling things here. And I've got a count of 4-0 to score with just over a minute to go here in the first. Kenya trying to work it around in tight. Good defense, though, by the U.S. As they close that one off, they will gain possession here and move it into the offensive end. Backhand, and that was a beauty finish right there. So, looks like Hannah Dorney. So Dorney picks up a goal there, and U.S. again quickly in the offensive end, and they make good again. So in the blink of an eye, Emily Harschuk adds another, and we're into the final 20 seconds here of this first quarter. U.S. dominating. Loose, and a good job to knock it ahead. Kenya will pick that up, and running low on time, 5 on the game clock, and that will go close to the out of bounds, and that's going to take us to the end of quarter number 1. 6-0 to score for the United States, leading Kenya. We'll be back after the short break. And I think based on what we're seeing in this first half that Kenya, of course, expanding their horizons in this sport, will have a lot to learn. You certainly don't become a national power overnight. United States, good job on the hesitation and no contact, no call on the play, but now there certainly is. And it'll be a yellow card. And the infraction will go to Lena Enzalia. So it'll be possession to the United States with just under 5 minutes to go here in this first half. So Esther Naye will also head over, and now it'll be a 5-on-3 for the U.S. Quick shot, and that's a beauty bounce shot right there, and an outstanding finish from Hannah Dorney. She's made a habit of this. When you take a look out there, when you're building this team, no long pulls, so you're utilizing your attack and midfielders. So with 5 on, usually you'd go to attack 3 mids. And with no long pull, good passing, U.S. quick stick, and a good save. So a good attempt from Taylor Moreno. Just not able to get enough mustard on that to pocket another one, and here comes Kenya. And they'll just let that bounce shot go from way out. And Zalia with that shot, and U.S. now will work it quickly into the offensive end, and one more time, making a habit of it, was Howachuk as she adds to her tally. U.S. in complete control here as we open things up here, this Women's World Sixes, and of course following this game, it'll be Haudenosaunee against Canada. That should be an even affair, ducking in and easy for Howachuk as she's gone on a streak. You could see quick line changes as they head right out. U.S. seems to be rotating on, play a little D, get on offense, bury one, and roll on off. That seems to be the case. Kenya, different story as, again, there'll be some growing pains when you're learning any sport. The U.S., of course, familiar with field lacrosse for many, many years, a powerhouse on both the men's and women's side. Same with Canada. It'll be interesting here to see how this thing shakes up. And with 3:02 to go, we're going to have ourselves a timeout. So as I alluded to earlier about this being something that this format could potentially be for the 2028 Olympics, this is certainly what they're proposing. They would have loved to get it into 2025 in Paris, 24 in Paris, not able to do that. So hoping that 2028 will be the year that lacrosse makes its debut. And what are they proposing? This modified version right here. So this for the men's, for the women's, certainly entertainment value is there, speed is there, the number of goals there, and it'll showcase offense and goaltending. But what I like best about it is it's a throwback to the game where you had to learn both ends of the rink or field. That's offense and defense. And nowadays you have it where you can become a specialist and play offense or defense. In this game, you got to play both.
And it's pivotal you play both. Because, Lance, not only is it pivotal because there's only 12 players, so you can't really have shifts of offense or defense. Everything's transition. So really, there's no transition players in this game compared necessarily to the field with the long sticks.
Agree. And another shot in there, and it's Aaron Bakes this time that pockets another U.S. goal.
USA goal, scrub number 40, Aaron Bakes.
Well, I think of what you have to do here, Spencer. You have to have that fundamental sound game, all aspects, in order to thrive in this modified version. Because, like you said, you got to play both ends.
And the Americans now again looking for a 13th here in the first half. As the Americans, that shot saved there by Indasi. And Lance, in a game like this where, you know, the scoreline is rather lopsided, would you say that it's now more based on individual performances or more based on what we do from this point on, more than necessarily the result?
Well, I think you got to look at it on either side. If you're the United States, you're going to want to get everyone involved. You're going to want to share the ball. You want to have good habits that are going to help you in this event. This is a good kickoff for them as far as that goes. If you're Kenya, you knew you were coming in as the underdog, certainly against the Americans for sure. So what are you getting out of this? Well, it's a learning experience. You are playing against some of the best players in the world. Therefore, playing higher caliber is only going to help you improve. So doesn't make it easier to take, but at the same time going forward, beneficial to Kenya.
Yeah, it's not winning or losing, it's winning and learning, especially for teams like Kenya, who really could use the learning experience here against some of the world's best teams, including the Haudenosaunee Canada and obviously this United States team they're playing right now, which obviously is showing their might, and I guess kind of show out to the Canadians and Haudenosaunee who play later tonight saying, hey, we didn't come here to get second place, we came here to win.
Well, when have you known the Americans ever to take any other approach, right, than that, what you just said there, Spencer? But I think for Kenya, when you look at it, a lot of it's about the competition that you're going to get to play. How do you get better? You get better by playing competition that's better, and the caliber's better. Unfortunately, Kenya limited as far as the number of lacrosse teams and lacrosse overall that they can actually play against each other to get better. So this international competition, invaluable, for Kenya.
Well, as the second quarter has now expired, double zeros on the clock, 15-zip in favor of the Americans after two. We'll be right back with the third and fourth quarter, the second half here on WSBN.
You know it in your core. Introducing the Helios Core, a breakthrough in skating development. With smart technology and artificial intelligence, the Helios Core analyzes key aspects of your skating, then shares the data in a mobile app. So players and coaches can see a player's progress, what still needs work, and where they stand against other players their age. The Helios Core gives players the information they need to improve their skating faster than ever before. know it in your core. Introducing the Helios Core, a breakthrough in skating development. With smart technology and artificial intelligence, the Helios Core analyzes key.
And welcome everyone back here to the Civic Field for the second half in the third quarter between Team Kenya and Team United States. The States up 15-0. Spencer Byers alongside Lance Wynn. We've had to move locations a little bit, Lance. We've got about 10 feet down, but hopefully the camera angle's a little bit nicer for everybody watching here at home.
Same area code, that's all that matters. We're close by, and of course, right in the heat of the action.
And not only that, we're in the breeze of the fresh air, which is kind of nice up there in the stuffy box as the Americans come quickly back in. That one's saved by the netminder. That ball might be in the restricted area, so the Americans do end up leaving it. As Kenya again quickly up the field they come.
Seen some positive things from Kenya, Spencer, as far as, working the ball around, and seem to have some good composure and understanding the concept, what they're supposed to be doing. Now it's about the execution, practicing the fundamentals and trying to build on that.
As the shot clock goes again against Kenya, still looking for their first goal. And how pivotal would you say that is, Lance, for Kenya to get their first goal?
Well, I think for Kenya to get a goal, period, no matter what, I think it's a win-win situation for them. When you're playing a team like the United States with such skilled players, experienced players, it's going to be hard. It is. So if you want to set your sights on something, if you're Kenya, keep it simple. Try your best first to get some good quality shots, and then second thing, try to park one in the back of that net.
Well, the white shirts are now making their way up the field. And they now lose possession right at the basically halfway line. So they do have to be a little careful here.
It's going to be interesting, Spencer, to see Kenya tonight and then see how they perform come Sunday after they've had some games under their belt. We'll see if they're progressing in the right direction, and you and I can sort of pick up that story as the next chapter gets played out after this one.
Of course, because again, they still have at least 2 more games against 3 more games, because they still have to play Canada and the Haudenosaunee, and then in either the gold or bronze medal. You'd expect bronze medal, but regardless, if they can shock one of Canada or the Haudenosaunee, I mean, anything can happen, right, with the way ties work and stuff and everyone having to play each other.
Well, that's the beauty of sport. That's why they play the game, because on paper it's one thing, but really what really happens can always be another.
As the Americans really passing that one around. They only got 5 seconds to work here. That ball's going to go out of play anyway. And again, this is where fatigue really does set in, even though it's after the half. You've played, 16 minutes of game time, and, you're trying to really work through it. But lacrosse is about runs, and the Americans are technically on a 15-0 run.
There's no technically about it. They are definitely on a 15-0 run, Spencer. You're right. They've been dominant as far as putting the ball in the net. They've made the game look easy, but it's clear the difference between an experienced nation and a nation that's growing in the sport. And, of course, the U.S. been around for a little bit longer than a minute.
I think they've been since the incarnation, and obviously they've worked their way up, because when they started, I believe it was all Haudenosaunee in Canada, and then they've worked their way up to winning medals at the Field Worlds, at the Box Worlds, now at the Super 6 Worlds. So they're not here to get second place. They're here to win. They're looking at Canada and the Haudenosaunee like we plan to get in the gold medal game, and we don't plan to go second as they get their 15th, or pardon me, 16th.
On a beauty shot, airborne.
That's actually their first goal of the half, Lance, not to interrupt you. So at least Kenya, we talk about, small positives. That's a small positive, being able to hold the Americans to 1 goal in the first almost 4 minutes of the second half.
Well, you're right, Spencer. It's all about the little victories sometimes. Don't necessarily worrying about the big picture at the moment. Worry about each quarter, each minute of each quarter, and try to take the positives out of that. So when you're Kenya, because you have such a long way to go to get to the level where some of these nations are, you know what? There's lots of positives to get from your experience.
That one played around. The Americans trying to get their hands on it. They do. That shot doesn't end up getting all the way through, so Kenya gets it, but then the whistle will go. And I expect that'll be possession here to the Americans and a penalty going towards Kenya, which will mean 5-on-4 for 30 seconds. Minors are 30 seconds, majors are a minute, and then if you get 3 majors or more or an ejectable offense, you get ejected from the game. You're done. You're going for an early shower.
So definitely some modified rules, good rules, and I think that a good job again by World Lacrosse to help make this game a little easier to play and a little more enjoyable to watch. It was always the fastest game on 2 feet.
Now they're arguing. Actually, 2 Kenya players sitting out. I don't really know why that is, but regardless, it still will be 5-on-4, it looks like.
Well, you saw last possession by the United States making a very deliberate effort to run the shot clock down. And there's always an adage used in lacrosse that coaches use that you rest on offense, not on defense. So using the clock, important for the U.S., and with a lead like this, really, you don't really need to add to your tally. So time to work on some other things.
And I also want to mention here that that's the American 17th goal, but these penalties are played through their entirety. There is no goal and they're done. They're full 30-second minors. But not only that, I did mention Kenya had 2 players off the field because it is a 5-on-3 as the Americans get the turner, get the takeaway. The Americans shot and they score again, and it's now 17-0.
Well, there's an example, 30-second penalty, and you give up 2 goals in a blink of an eye. So it really goes to show you as once different matchups get set up, when we're ready Sunday for the gold medal game, Spencer, I think you'll see 2 teams out there that have mastered the art of the shot clock as well as the rule changes.
And again, this is a growing sport. I believe I was told 2018 they began. Obviously, COVID stopped everything, so sadly Super 6 has also kind of gotten impeded as they were trying to start up. But thank goodness they've been able to fight through the pandemic like lots of other things, and they're now here trying to, as you said, get their bid into the Olympics. They're still on the short list. I still heard they're trying to figure all that process out, and it could take into the new year to finally get a verdict on what's going in, what's coming out for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Obviously, it will not be in Paris because it's a little short form to be going to Paris. A little too tight of a format as Kenya takes another minor.
No, well, when you talk about where the Olympics are played, the location certainly has an effect on what sports that are being played at that Olympics. Of course, France not owning the field lacrosse circuit, nor do they have an overly strong program, although it's growing. U.S., different story. So for L.A., expect there to be a big fight to get lacrosse in. Paris 2024, not so much.
As the Americans, again, quickly around. And that's the thing of a power play, especially in field, is because there's so much space you can kind of really compress the defense when you get that ball real close to the net especially.
Well, you have that. The fact that the nets are larger than in box certainly plays a role as well, but when you look at the first goal for Kenya.
And that is one well-earned. It's taken them almost 24 minutes. The Americans quickly down. That's kind of the problem with scoring, Lance, in such a quick sport with the goalie being able to play the ball immediately. Is basically you score, and all of a sudden you got to play defense.
Well,
transition.
Those 2 goals came within a span of under 10 seconds. So that gives you an idea of how quickly a team can counter. While you're giving high fives and celebrating, other team could go down the other end and put it in the back of the net, nullify what you just did.
And I want to mention Enzela got the credit for the goal up there in the scorers table, so we'll give her the credit as well.
Well, good on her. She's had 3 good quality shots for Kenya in this game. She's probably been the only real threat, and good to see her pocket one on a good bounce shot.
That one played around. They thought about shooting it. They played behind the net. It is back to 5-on-5. So the Americans got about 30 seconds, or about 6 seconds actually to work here on the shot clock. I got to take a little look. They have to shoot. Will they? They do, and it goes. They have been dominating that kind of like near post, right beside the post kind of thing, and then being able to fire it across.
Well, it's the execution on offense. They're running their offensive sets, doing a good job of finding the open player and good quality shots. When you're getting shots in the crease area, Spencer, you're playing good, solid game.
And now around come Kenya. That shot will go wide, and the goalie will have to grab one of the extra balls littered around the field. That another advantage of playing on such a small field with the balls being right there is, so again, keeps play moving. The ball, it's not like you have to go run after the ball in field. You know, the balls are right there. Walk over, grab another one, here we go.
Some good thinking as far as the organizers go with that.
And that will be the third quarter of play. We'll get ready for the fourth quarter here with a 2-minute break. 20-1
Score after 3 quarters.
between the USA and Kenya. United States in a commanding lead. We'll see if Kenya can add to their 1 goal here in the fourth and final quarter here on WSBN. Play one more commercial. And welcome back here to WSBN. Women's World Series 6 Lacrosse. USA and Kenya. Kenya down 19 goals going into this fourth and final quarter. Spencer Byers alongside Lance Wynn. And Lance, it's, I think, imperative for Kenya to just keep building on.
Make sure to stick around for tonight's second game, 7:30 start. Team Canada versus.
I think it's imperative that Kenya keep working on offense. Because obviously the Americans are, I'll say, going to get theirs. It's kind of like in other sports where you see star players and like, okay, they're going to get theirs, they're going to get theirs. Let's stop the other players, right? I think Kenya's going to look at this like, okay, we know, I'll say the game is over, but the game is rather lopsided. Let's just try to work on our game, if that's offensively or defensively. Let's run some sets. Let's use the whole shot clock. Let's kind of, get the PT time that everybody needs. The live bullets, if you will.
Well, I think that's going to be the whole value of probably the whole trip for Kenya as far as gaining that international experience. It's not easy to not only come up against this type of competition, stay competitive, and then decide, okay, what do you want to take from this experience? Because let's be for real, if you've ever played the sport of lacrosse, you've probably given a beating and taken a beating. So the question is, what do you learn from that beating, so to speak? And I think Kenya, with an open slate, they've got lots to learn, and I think there's going to be a lot of things that they're going to be able to take out of what the U.S. does, that they're going to be able to take back home with them, and hopefully use that and learn how to execute to be a little more competitive.
I definitely can agree with that, as the U.S. again at the top of the line, and I'll say something we haven't really talked about. It's usually talked about it in box lacrosse, but because this is a similar size field to box, similar size playing surface to box, I should say, as the Americans get another marker, making it 22. What I was going to say there about the box is because the playing surface is so compact that it's imperative that you just kind of run your stuff, right? That you try to break down the defense, because it's not like other fields. See, Kenya gets another goal. So Kenya, as we said, they double their tally, now make it 2, and it was number 4, Esther Anai.
Then again, something positive, Spencer. You got to like that. If you could pocket a couple of goals on the United States, and really Kenya right now, obviously not executing or running a offense, so to speak. They are sort of freestyling it and using their natural ability. So that's some of the differences between these two teams when you talk about offense on either side. But Kenya right now, natural ability, good to see them coming up with some positive stuff. And certainly, obviously, the 2 goal scorers are the team leaders on offense for Kenya.
And again, Kenya with possession. And their goalies did start off, we talked about that earlier, being able to handle the ball here in the field style. But they're going to give them I believe, the half-court violation. They weren't able to clear quick enough, but the Americans then lose it just about immediately after that whistle, so Kenya gets it right back. So after all that, Kenya gets free possession.
They do, and they're going to need it because the U.S. has been tenacious on defense.
And they continue to be with that ball on the floor. Both teams battling for it in some legs, and the Americans take it away. Americans, again, quickly up the field. They look to be no worse for wear here in this fourth and final quarter.
Well, I think one of the things Kenya is going to have to work on and understand is going to be the importance of loose balls in field. Of course, possession is everything, but doesn't matter modified or not. Possession is a whole lot. You can't score if you don't have the ball. So important that they work on their loose balls.
That shot low, caught, and saved again by the Americans. You also have to wonder on the American side, not having a whole lot of shots against and maybe not high-quality chances, maybe lulls you into that false sense of security, right? And then sometimes you do ship a couple goals because you're in that kind of neutral or first gear instead of being in fourth gear like you start the game, trying to get out to this big lead.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference where experience comes into play. When you're the U.S. and you've been in games that have been lopsided, what do you take from it, and how important is it for you going forward? Because a lot of times a lopsided win can be detrimental when you start playing better competition, move along. But United States, I think, used to that sort of thing, and I think they'll be up to any challenge that they face moving forward in this tournament.
Well, again, I think they know what's coming next. They might even stay for some of the game between the Haudenosaunee and Canada because they know they play them both tomorrow, and they know that they probably came into this tournament thinking, okay, we got to be able to beat the Haudenosaunee, we got to be able to beat Canada if we expect to be in the gold medal game, or at least one of them to be in the gold medal game.
Well, yeah, and I think, of course, when we talk about expectations coming into an event like this, you're always thinking you want to win. That's the top goal. I think when you get here and, reality sort of sets in, then you start adjusting to option B and option C. But I think if you're Kenya, you continue to play hard for 4 quarters. That's the most important thing is your effort. Okay, give your maximum effort and work as hard as you can. Let the chips sort of fall where they may after that.
Bakes tried to get that ball back after just scoring the most recent goal. The Americans do. Now it's a 2-on-0. Americans make that a 1-on-0 in, and they score. And that's Elizabeth Coulson with that one. And that's now 25-2 as the sun continues to set behind us. We are going into the winter months, so the sun sets a little bit earlier than we would always hope, Lance.
Oh, we're in Canada, Spencer. That's like saying we're not going to get winter. You know we're going to get it.
And Bakes scores. There on the rush, kind of got taken down there at the end of the play, but regardless, it goes.
I tell you, Bakes has been impressive, as has Mastriani. So those two have really impressed me in this early going for this first game. And, of course, again, the competition, not Canada or Haudenosaunee, but same time, the skill set is the skill set.
As now the Americans come the other way. And that shot scores. As the Americans continue, I believe that's Bakes again.
And, you certainly can't look at the U.S. for running up the score by any stretch. It's the first game of the tournament. You have to make sure you're sharp. You got to continue to go in with guns a-blazing. And there's yet to be an on-off switch in sports that teams can use to decide whether you want to shut her down or turn her on. Once your team's on, you want to keep them on and playing their best lacrosse for the next 2 days.
And honestly, I think it's more respectful of the opponent to keep trying, because then at least Kenya can say, we lost by 30, but they only could have scored 30. They couldn't have got more, right? Instead of thinking, well, they won by 25, but in your mind, you're thinking they took it easy on us, right?
Well, you know what? You certainly could take that outlook, or you could say, we played against one of the top teams in the world, and we managed to get 2 goals on them.
Exactly.
Let's go back to the tape and see how we got those 2 goals and sort of build on that.
And a great single effort there, but finally got taken away. Sometimes you just run into too many bodies, and now away come the Americans, and they will kind of slow it up there. They do have a full shot clock to work. We have about 3 shot clocks left here in this final quarter. Again, Canada versus the Haudenosaunee, slated for 7:30. So again, quick turnaround. These games go quick, but the turnaround's quick, just as quick. As that shot low, and they score, and they're now 1 away from 30.
Amazing that some of these players have the skills with very limited pockets in their sticks to take underhands and sidearms. That's a skill set in itself, along with switching hands and backhands. Those are things that you sort of pick up, but those are individual things you work on and that you improve on. And boy, oh boy, Team USA putting it on display here tonight.
Assist number 42, Nicole Levy.
Passed back there by the Americans. They have about 10 seconds left here on the shot clock. They're very compact. Here are the Americans. That shot saved by Ndasi.
Got to give Ndasi some credit, boy. You stay in there for the entire game, and you're up against one of the best teams in the world, and they're just shooting BBs at you left, right, and center, top, bounce shots. You're getting underhands, and good on her for staying strong and keeping her head held high.
And in these high real scoring games, that's number 30 for the Americans with 16 seconds left. So this game is all but over. But for the Americans, or I guess I should say for, Team Kenya, it's also like, does it get demoralizing as a goalie facing all these shots? But again, I also think it's the Americans. You kind of know that, it's going to be a lot of shots against, and you just got to do your best and roll with the punches.
That's why I say, Spencer, don't worry about what you've given up. Worry about what you've got. I think that's the way Kenya's got to look at it.
Yeah, short-term memory as they again take on Canada and the Haudenosaunee tomorrow, as both the fans here applaud both teams off the field. As we do get ready for Canada versus the Haudenosaunee, I'll say the main event of the night. And a game that looks to be a very close one.
Well, I think we're going to see things change as we go day by day, as teams get a little more experience, get a more feel. Of course, next game we'll
and see everybody play, right? Because both these two teams can watch their opponents in the next one. And Canada and the Haudenosaunee, we're watching this game too. So everyone will get that also kind of in live film study. Okay, this player does this, that player does this. The goalie kind of moves this way when they do this and stuff. So it also is going to get more technical as the tournament goes on because you're going to see each other more. You're going to get used to each other's tendencies.
Well, that's the thing, and that's where coaching, of course, and experience come into play. I'm talking about making adjustments. When you're going to potentially play a team more than once in a tournament, you're going to have to make some adjustments. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Great for day one. Looking forward to our next game and looking forward to the next 2 days.
Absolutely, and that'll be it here for us for the USA-Kenya. We'll be right back with the Canada versus Haudenosaunee here at the Women's World Lacrosse Super Sixes tournament here in Oshawa and only on WSBN.